All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er Browns preview video. And of course, we're also brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. Mojo's Fantasy has introduced a whole new way to play fantasy football this season. It works by entering into contests and building a portfolio of players. The props you picked act like stocks. You can buy and sell player stock live all game long. That's it. You make picks, you make moves, you make money. Check the link in the description and make sure you use the promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Niners and the Browns. Should be interesting. 49ers on the road against the Browns trying to run their record to 6-0. Stefanski, the head coach of the Browns, 8-17 straight up as an underdog, and he's a dog in this game. 20-10 straight up as a favorite, but he's 8-17 when they're an underdog. Cleveland doesn't have the same run game. This game's not as hard as it was at the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year, this team had Nick Chubb, and they were running the heck out of the football. They've run without Chubb the last 2 weeks, and both times they've gone under 100 yards in the 2 games without him. So Jerome Ford is not Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt is not Nick Chubb. Pierre Strong is not Nick Chubb. So I just don't think the Browns are going to be able to run the ball. And yet when you look at this defense that the Browns have, their opponents have only entered the red zone 6 times all year. That's the fewest in the NFL. Their opponents convert, I think, only 22% of their third downs, which is really low. Kyle is 1-8 career against Jim Schwartz, but it's a little deceiving. CMC, I mean, since the Niners have gotten Christian McCaffrey, they're 17-1. That's how good he's been. And how good's Brock Purdy been? He's 12-0 in games that he started and finished. But now it's the number 1 defense in football. That's what the Browns represent. And they've got the number 1 pass defense in football. And I would imagine the game plan is going to be take the ball out of the air and run the heck out of it at the Browns. That, to me, makes the most sense. Run the ball. Run the ball at the Browns all day and every day. That I think is the game plan. Really run the ball. When you look at the way the 49ers can run the ball, I think that's what they do. They run the ball, they turn over the Browns if they can. The Browns, by the way, are 29th in turnover differential at -7. Niners are fantastic in the turnover differential category. Haven't had 1 interception all year from Brock Purdy. So the other thing, the Niners defense is playing incredible. So far this season, quarterbacks facing the 49er defense have the second lowest passer rating in the entire league. So I mean, if you're a fantasy football player, quarterbacks going against the Niners are averaging 11.1 fantasy points per game. If that puts it in perspective. No one quarterback has scored more than 14 fantasy points against the Niners so far this year. The Niners defense is also ranked 4th in the league in pressure rate. They'll put a ton of heat on you. The real reason I love the Niners in this game, there's no Joel Bitonio. Bitonio's sitting this one out. So that really hurts the 49ers, or really hurts the Browns, I should say. The Browns' offensive line without Joel Bitonio is not nearly as good. So I think that's a major factor in this game. No Bitonio. He's their best offensive lineman. Both of their tackles, I think, will struggle. I think Hargrave will have a huge day inside. I think the Niner defensive line will dominate this game. Now, can the Niners stop the run? The 49ers are allowing the fewest rushing yards per game to running backs this season. Teams facing the Niners are averaging the lowest number of carries per game, 11.8. So it's partly due to their run D, partly due to the fact they're getting so far ahead and they're taking the run game away from teams. And then you look at Jerome Ford's 2 games as a starter. He's averaging 2.3 yards per carry. And he's finished with less than 30 yards rushing in each of the games. So now you got P.J. Walker starting at quarterback. You've got a run game that doesn't work, an O-line that's dinged up. If the Browns score 17 points, I'd be shocked. On defense, though, they've got a really good line. They really do. Myles Garrett looks like the defensive player of the year. They signed Dalvin Tomlinson and Zadarius Smith in the offseason. They added Ogbania Okoronkwo and Mo Hurst in free agency. All that to go with Myles Garrett. And Garrett's having a great year. And then, of course, the Browns also hired a new DC in Jim Schwartz, who's helped transform their unit into the best one in the NFL right now. They use that wide nine. They get up the field. They got a lot of pass rush. They got a lot of talent. And they've also gotten improved play from their linebackers. So the Browns are fourth in the NFL as far they allow just 71.8 rushing yards per game and only 3.2 yards per carry to opposing offenses. JOK on the second level, Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah, really fast, really instinctive. I think their linebackers can be picked on in the pass game, and I expect Shanahan to do exactly that. But the Browns' defense is no joke. I mean, they've allowed 196 yards per game. That's first in the NFL. 125 passing yards per game, first in the NFL. 3.8 yards per play, first in the NFL. 26 and a half pass attempts per game, also leads everybody in the league. And 15 points per game, first in the NFL. So their run D has been spectacular. Their pass D, though, the run D, I should say, has just been pretty good. The pass D has been spectacular. Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome II, Martin Emerson are their talented corners. They got three of them. They're all pretty good. By the way, the 49ers have elevated cornerback Shamar Jean-Charles and linebacker Curtis Robinson from the practice squad. They'll be active for this game. 49ers have been dominating. I mean, they really have. They've played 300 minutes of game action this season. They've led for 238 minutes and change. They've been tied for 59 minutes, almost 60 minutes. And they've trailed for 1 minute and 35 seconds all year. So, that will be interesting to see exactly what they look like in this game. But, yeah, the 49ers are playing incredibly well. And since Brock Purdy took over against Miami last year, the Niners were averaging 33.5 points per game. To put that in perspective, that's 7.1 more points than what Mahomes has scored since that same point. So Brock Purdy has literally, in this offense, outperformed Patrick Mahomes since he came off the bench for Jimmy G, which is shocking. I mean, that's shocking. I thought Brock Purdy looked good in camp. I thought he was going to be a good player. I didn't think he was going to be the best quarterback in football. And the Niners are averaging 33.5 points a game since he took the reins, and that's a touchdown more than what Mahomes and the Chiefs have averaged, which is amazing. By the way, the Niners will be wearing their standard red and gold unis. The Browns will be in there, so they're the home team. They get to pick, and they want to wear their all whites. So Browns in all white, and the Niners in their home red and gold. So that'll be kind of cool. As far as the injuries, Aaron Banks has got that shoulder injury, but he's good to go. Elijah Mitchell's got a knee. He's questionable, and he's been battling this knee for a couple weeks. He did practice late this week. Dre Greenlaw's got a hamstring. He's listed as questionable. I think he'll probably go. Couple other notes. The NFL has fined Aaron Banks $10,000 plus and George Kittle $13,000 plus. The Banks fine is for the punch that he threw, unnecessary roughness penalty that he drew. And then for Kittle, it's wearing that Dallas FU t-shirt, and he gets docked over $13,000 for that. Just ridiculous. So overall, I like the 49ers to win this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I really do. Deshaun Watson. It's P.J. Walker. I don't think the Browns are going to be able to run the ball. I think the 49ers, will do a good job at making this a one-sided game, kind of a rhythmic win. But I don't think the 49ers are going to be able to score, like they do on most teams on this team, because this team is really, really strong defensively in a lot of phases of the game. Now, I think Brock Purdy will keep his patience and keep his wits about him. I see a number of punts back and forth. I think Wishnowsky is going to probably pin the Browns inside the 20. I would say he's going to do that at least 3 or 4 times in the game. So you got Wishnowsky punting. You've got the 49er D-line should have a field day with the Browns O-line. there's just a lot of reasons to feel good about the 49ers winning this game, but I don't know if they're going to go off like they went off against the Cowboys. I don't know if it's 42. I think this game is going to be more like maybe 30 to 31-10, which sounds an awful lot like the Cowboy game, which was 42-10. But I could see something like that. 31-6, 28, 24-6, something like that. I think it's going to be dry, but there should be some pretty good wind. We'll see the conditions of the field, but might be a Jake Moody, Mitch Wishnowsky special teams day where you lean on your kicker and you lean on your punter and you lean on your D-line. I really think the 49er defense is going to dominate. I really do. I think the 49er defense is going to allow very little in this game. And I think the 49er offense is going to get they may not get 30, but they're going to get 24. So that's how I see it. I think it's the Niners winning on the road. If I was betting it, I would I'd tease it. I don't know if I like the 9.5 just because who knows, but that's a lot of points in an NFL game. The Niners will probably cover that spread, but the best bet on this game is probably Niners on the teaser to the under. Tease it up and go under. That would be my guess. That would be the Niners could ruin that by having a huge offensive day, but this defense is really good, really good. Denzel Ward is as good a corner as there is. Myles Garrett could be the defensive player of the year. They got speed and talent on the second level, deep D line, really good young secondary. It's well schemed. Schwartz's defenses in the wide nine have bothered Shanahan's offenses in the past. So I say Niners get the win. But it's not going to be quite as big as last week. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. Go see Damon and Mary. Have some barbecue. Tell them that Krug sent you. And also thanks to Underdog Fantasy for being our sponsor. And remember, go to Underdog Fantasy and use that promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they'll match you up to $100. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.